King Charles smiled and waved to fans this morning after spending time in hospital with cancer treatment side effects. The king's motorcade left Clarence's house. He leaves London for the weekend. The palace said the king's negative affects required medics to observe him and cancel several festivities. Having waited decades to become king, Charles III now faces his hardest obstacle. Buckingham Palace confirmed the king's cancer diagnosis in February 2024. Buckingham Palace disclosed the king's cancer diagnosis. Let me repeat Buckingham Palace's statement. Though they never revealed his type or prognosis, what does this mean for the monarchy, William, and a country witnessing their king fight an invisible enemy? Stay with us as we unearth the truth behind the headlines and the personal narrative that has affected millions. The day everything changed, staff at Buckingham Palace began their daily rituals and prepared for another day of royal obligations. Charles has been sick for weeks, experiencing unusual exhaustion and small changes that his loved ones couldn't ignore. From a routine medical examination, news that would rock the royal family and the Commonwealth would spread. Following 3 nights at the London clinic in January 2024 for treatment for an enlarged prostate, King was diagnosed a week later. Everyone thought Charles's operation went well on January 29th. Prostate surgery seemed routine, like many guys his age undergo without difficulties. But doctors found something more during those extensive medical exams. It would change the king's life and the reign in unexpected ways. On a calm Tuesday afternoon at Windsor Castle, Charles was working through his regular mail with the careful precision that had typified his royal duties for decades when his doctor called. His private secretary knocked with a look that told him everything before she spoke. The medical examinations showed something serious that needed immediate and long-term treatment. The word that changed everything was cancer, delivered clinically. The diagnosis seemed to bear down on everything in the room. Not good news for any 75-year-old, but especially for a guy who had just begun his reign after waiting 7 decades to be king. For some minutes, Charles pondered what this meant to him. He gave his life for Camilla, William, and the institution he swore to serve. The moment might start the end of a reign that had only begun. The next few hours were a flurry of meticulously choreographed meetings and tough conversations that would change the royal family forever. William was contacted immediately and arrived at Windsor in an hour. His expression was somber with concern as he strolled through passageways that felt different, packed with urgency that hadn't existed hours earlier. The father-son meeting lasted nearly 2 hours, with no staff present and no record preserved of one of the monarchy's most crucial debates in recent history. William left looking shocked but resolute, carrying a new weight of duty that seemed to have descended on him during those quiet minutes with his father. Charles told Prince William the true gravity of his condition in early March 2025, in a sad conversation that would start succession preparations. Charles discussed immediate medical measures and long-term constitutional arrangements with the same meticulousness he had always shown in royal duties. Camilla handled the news with the same strength she had always shown in royal life, but many close to her noted tiny signs of distress. She moved more slowly, had tighter eyes, and paused longer before answering questions. She supported Charles through decades of public scrutiny, personal struggles, and the complicated Prince of Wales to King transition. She faced her greatest challenge yet, becoming more than a queen consort. The Duchess of Cornwall should be queen consort when Prince Charles becomes king, according to Queen Elizabeth, but a loving wife and caretaker in unfamiliar territory. Her calendar was quietly cleared, postponed official engagements without explanation, and her focus became supporting her spouse through whatever was ahead. Years of expertise managing sensitive information and public narratives informed the palace's rapid but measured response. A select group of trusted advisors was briefed in discreet meetings at the royal residences. The private secretary, Lord Chamberlain, senior home personnel, and constitutional advisors were brought in to ensure total discretion. Each member was pledged to confidentiality until the family decided how to handle the public announcement, knowing a leak could cause media and financial market upheaval. Now it was difficult to tell the world and manage a nation's response, balancing national concern and global response. Making the public declaration took time. Each word and phrase was carefully selected for its impact on public opinion, markets, and international relations. The royals learned from their mistakes. They knew that in today's media climate, silence could be worse than controlled disclosure. The true challenge was balancing honesty, privacy, and expressing how severe the situation was while maintaining the monarchy's stability. The palace chose not to reveal the king's cancer type or prognosis. However, They wanted to be honest about the basics to avoid conjecture and misunderstanding. After consulting medical consultants, constitutional experts, communication experts, and family members, each proposal was improved to convey the right tone of seriousness without causing fear. A Monday morning in February 2024 was chosen to avoid market disruption and maximize narrative control. The speech was measured and polite. His Majesty has cancer. King Charles reveals his terrifying cancer ordeal. Last February, the monarch was diagnosed with an undisclosed ailment. He is optimistic about his therapy and hopes to return to public service shortly. His Majesty will often conduct state business and paperwork during this time. The text balanced hope and honesty. It answered public curiosity while respecting medical privacy. The reaction was quick and massive. Flowers appeared at palace gates within hours, establishing daily shrines of solidarity. World leaders, celebrities, and regular residents shared their cancer stories and supported the royal family on social media. The pound's stability showed markets' confidence in the monarchy. Millions across the Commonwealth felt deeply and personally who were close to their king. Charles made his delicate return to royal duties after a carefully managed hiatus. After several small audiences and private sessions, he returned to public appearances in April 2024. During this shift, many who watched him closely noticed minor but major changes in his manner and appearance. He went slowly and deliberately. He spoke more thoughtfully. He seemed to tire more readily during long engagements and displayed a fresh awareness of his energy and attentiveness. He picked his first public appearance for symbolic and personal reasons. He visited a cancer treatment center to meet patients and workers facing similar fights. The symbolism was strong and deliberate. It showed a king who understood their hardship via shared experience and empathy. The hour-long visit was planned to avoid overwhelming the king while maximizing his influence. Charles listened to each story with sincerity and offered support based on his own experience with the issues. This appearance affected people beyond the hospital. It showed cancer patients worldwide that they weren't alone and that even kings could overcome health issues. Charles had to adjust his schedule to accommodate his therapy while retaining his constitutional duties. The king's approach showed a new way of sustained royal service that acknowledged human limits while keeping monarchy dignity and efficacy. He didn't quit his job. "All right," he said. The king returned to royal responsibilities for the first time since his February cancer diagnosis, looking robust. Realized his visibility was vital, not only for the monarchy's stability, but also for the millions of individuals fighting similar battles and deriving courage from his example. Recovery becomes complicated and hope becomes reality. Charles was briefly hospitalized to the London clinic on March 27, 2025, for cancer treatment problems. The palace said he wanted to resume public duties once his doctors deemed it safe and suitable. The brief stay reminded us that even successful cancer therapy has its obstacles and unexpected setbacks. Although the king's medical staff had prepared the family for this possibility, experiencing it firsthand made the long and unpredictable road feel real. His therapy side effects were manageable, however, they remained uncomfortable. They disturbed his daily routine and changed his personal and royal duties. His life was full of fatigue. It replaced his untiring vigor from decades of royal devotion. Some days, getting out of bed was difficult. Those around him saw his attempt as inspiring and painful. Charles had to calm down after years of engagements, travel, and communication. He was learning to pace himself and accept boundaries that were unfathomable in his youth. His treatment appeared to be improving by December 2024. Doctors were cautiously optimistic, but said the process will continue through 2025. His improvement was good, but cancer treatment is difficult. His care plan needed continual monitoring and adjustments based on his body's response. Charles retreated to his comforts on bad days. He spent hours in Highgrove's garden, enjoying watching plants grow. His architectural sketches became more complex and frequent, allowing creative expression without physical effort. William's role grew gradually but definitely. His office duties increased as his calendar filled up. A well-managed transition positioned him for a higher leadership role. William may grow into the job while maintaining royal duties. Catherine became more prominent and took on occasions that Charles and other senior royals would have handled. She confidently performed these obligations, becoming more conspicuous in the family's public activity. Increased public appearances, constitutional briefings, and royal activity planning prepared the younger royals for larger duties. The royals handled this shift discreetly. It steadily strengthened the monarchy without appearing to hasten succession planning. Palace staff noted alterations in royal life's routine. King Charles has discussed his cancer diagnosis and treatment and its lessons, communicating via letter during the Buckingham Palace event honoring disease-fighting groups. Schedules according to Charles's treatment and energy. Prioritizing constitutional and state issues, meetings were shorter and more focused. The king's comfort and well-being were prioritized. Staff learned how to help cancer patients, while maintaining royal services formality and respect. Royal traditions adapted to new reality. Palace life became more flexible after decades of rigorous procedures. The monarchy changed with the times while retaining its traditions. Public opinion of Charles changed. Once distant or scholarly, he became deeply human. His condition made him more relatable than decades of public appearances. Opinion polls revealed increased sympathy and support across all age groups, with many connecting to his own experience. This expedition gave the king deep life, duty, and legacy lessons. Introspection and travel. The king often contemplated his cancer diagnosis's darkest moments. In private, he showed family and close friends his more introspective and vulnerable side. Charles discussed how the diagnosis changed his view on life, duty, legacy, and time in these conversations. These reflections showed a man facing his mortality while maintaining his mission. He wrote more personal letters to his grandchildren. He wanted them to see him as a man with hopes for their futures, not merely as their grandfather or king. His letters emphasized family values, service to others, and lessons from success and failure. Charles wrote them to leave something important for them to remember him by. He also started talking to William about the monarchy's future. These speeches discussed how the institution may adapt to a changing world without losing its character. Charles urged William to consider relevance and accountability in a new era as well as tradition. He also often pondered about his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. She had handled her health issues with quiet dignity, which gave him strength. She showed him that honesty and discretion could coexist, and that transparency could not be alarming. Like her, he didn't want illness to define his public image or disrupt the monarchy's stability. Charles grew more confident in his religion. The supreme governor of the Church of England had always taken his spiritual position seriously. However, faith has grown more personal. The quiet routines that had always grounded him were used more for prayer and thought. In those quiet times, he discovered calm and purpose to carry him forward. Prince William performed in ways that startled even those who had watched his route to monarchy. William visited his father more as Charles was treated. Generational differences and royal expectations had shaped this relationship, but these personal chats strengthened it. Despite this hardship, their relationship deepened. William's elevated royal role was carefully guarded. Every move was carefully considered to portray his engagement as transitory support rather than a power shift. His actions demonstrated maturity, prudence, and a clear comprehension of the situation. Though he revered his father, he prepared for the future. People saw the smooth transfer as confirmation of the monarchy's power and stability. Other senior royals intervened. Princess Anne, known for her diligence, quietly added to her schedule to help with essentials. She did this discreetly, as usual. Her toughness and dedication kept the royal machine running, demonstrating the family's dedication to the institution and the king during a difficult time. After initial fears and setbacks, Charles's treatment began to improve. His oncology team was cautiously optimistic because he was responding well to therapy. Resuming public engagements was easier when his energy levels improved. He also managed slightly busier schedules without the tiredness of his early sickness. He had to be careful not to overexert himself, but the symptoms of recuperation were evident and offered hope for continuing development. Medical testing confirmed this step. Blood and diagnostic scans revealed positive trends. These changes indicated the treatment was working. Despite not reaching a conclusion, the physicians were optimistic about his future. King Charles III's cancer struggle shows the power of conquering life's greatest trials with dignity, grace, and unflinching service. As Charles reigns with newfound purpose and compassion, his story reminds us that our greatest difficulties reveal our true character and beliefs. Do you think the king's brave health crisis handling affected the current monarchy? Comment your ideas below.